It has this beautiful design of puff stitches coming out of these little boxes. On this video, I'm going to teach you how to do the box puff stitch. I'm going to be using a 4mm hook and some cotton yarn size 4. So for the stitch, you want to start with a foundation chain that's a multiple of 3 plus 5. So in my case, I have 17. For row 1, we're going to do a puff stitch into the 5th chain from the hook. So for a puff stitch, you want to do essentially 4 half double crochets together into the same stitch and then close it with a chain 1. So let's count 4 chains right now. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4 into the 5th, do a puff stitch. So you want to yarn over, insert your hook into that chain, grab the yarn and pull up a loop. We're going to pull up a loop that's a little tall. That's 1 time. And we're going to do that 3 more times for a total of 4 times. That's 2. That's 3. And that's 4. So that's 4 half double crochets together. We're just going to yarn over and pull through all the loops to close that off. That's the 4 half double crochet together. And now you're going to chain 1 to finish the puff stitch. So that's that. And now we're going to start the row repeat of this row. You're going to skip 2 chains. So we skip 1 and 2. And then into the next chain, we're going to work 1 double crochet, a chain 2, and a puff stitch. So let's do that. Into the next stitch, a double crochet, a chain 2, and a puff stitch. So remember, for a puff stitch, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain, pull up a loop, a little tall. That's 1 time. And now we want to do that a total of 4 times. This is 2, 3, and 4. Gets a little tight, but that's okay. You want to make sure these are loose so that you can actually pull the hook through all of them. So you want to yarn over and pull through all of the loops for the puff stitch. And now we're going to finish it off with a chain 1. And that ends the row repeat. You can go back to the beginning of it by skipping 2 chains. So skip 1 and 2. You can see here that the chain right after the puff stitch gets a little tight. So you want to make sure not to skip that. Like, to be careful not to miss it. So continuing the row repeat, let's do this again together. We're skipping 2 chains, the one that gets really tight, 1 and 2. Into the next, we do a double crochet, a chain 2, and then into the same chain, a puff stitch. So we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop 4 times. That's my second one, third, and 4th. Now pull through all the loops and a chain 1. It's going to give you this beautiful repetition. Now you want to continue doing this until you get to the end of the row, and I'll see you when you're there. Okay, so at the end of the row, you're going to be left with 3 chains. So you're going to skip 2 and then just do 1 double crochet into the very last one. So into the very last chain, just 1 double crochet. And that there is the end of row 1. So for row 2, you're going to chain 1 and flip your work. We're going to skip the first stitch and then start a row repeat. So you're going to work 1 double crochet loosely over the next row into the first of the first of the 2 skipped stitches in the row below. So you know how you skip 2 chains? Into the first one of those, we're going to do a double crochet, but very loose. We want it to be as tall as the previous row. So we're going to yarn over, go into that first chain skipped. So right now we're seeing it from behind. So you go into that first chain, grab the yarn and pull it through. You can kind of pull up a little bit. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. And that is a double crochet into the first of the 2 skipped chains from the previous row. So now we are going to do 1 single crochet into the puff stitch. So into the top of the puff stitch there, we do a single crochet. And now you want to do 1 single crochet into the next chain 2 space. So into the next chain 2 space, a single crochet. And that ends the row repeat. You can go back to the beginning of it by working 1 double crochet that's loose over onto the first of the 2 chains that was skipped from the previous row, from the foundation chain, I mean. So you grab the yarn and pull it through. Kind of pull up a little bit to make it loose. Grab the yarn and pull through 2, twice for a double crochet. Now continuing the row repeat, we do 1 single crochet on top of the puff stitch. 1 single crochet there. And then 1 single crochet into the next chain 2 space. 1 single crochet there. And that's the row repeat. So you can repeat that until you get to the end of the row, and I'll see you when you're there. Okay, so at the end of the row here, I just did my single crochet into the top of the puff stitch, and you're going to be left with a turning chain in this case at the end. So you're going to do your final single crochet into the 3rd chain of the turning chain. So you do 1 single crochet there. And that there is the end of row 2. For row 3, we want to chain 5, which counts as a double crochet and chain 2. So that's 5 here. And flip your work. You do 1 puff stitch into the very first stitch. So into this very first stitch, we do a puff stitch, which is 4 half double crochets together and a chain. That's 3 and 4. And a chain. And now we can start a row repeat. You're going to skip 2 single crochets. So skip 1 and 2. And then into the next, you're going to do 1 double crochet, a chain 2, and a puff stitch, all into the same. So double crochet, chain 2, and a puff stitch into the same stitch. So that was my first, second, third, and fourth. Grab the yarn and pull through, and a chain to close off the puff stitch. Now we're going to, that ends the row repeat there. So you can go back to the beginning of it by skipping 2 single crochets, and then into the next one, do double crochet, chain 2, and puff stitch. And that's the repeat you want to follow. I'll do this last one with you. That was my double crochet. This is my chain 2, and then puff stitch into the same stitch. So you do 4 half double crochets together and close it off with a chain. And there we have it. So repeat this until you get to the end of the row, and I'll see you when you're there. So at the end of the row here, we're going to skip 2 stitches and then do our final double crochet into the last one. So we skip 1 and 2, and into the last stitch, we do a double crochet. And that there is the end of row 3. Moving forward, you want to repeat rows 2 and 3 back and forth until you have the desired length of your work or a finished swatch. This is really pretty. It's literally what the name says, box puff. So it creates these like little boxes around the puff stitches because of those loose double crochets that you work. So yeah, it has this really beautiful design of those puff stitches coming out of these little boxes. Hey, while you're at it, why don't you just subscribe to my channel? Just do it. Just do it.